All right, so we back in today with organizational development. It will start with leadership, and then we go with management, and then we go with organizational development, and we go to the nonprofit development. That basically is how the second sector of this community education program going on. But let's start with the second field, leadership, which is go back with the leadership field. Last time we were talking about trait theories, basically the classical theory. Great man theory believes that great people was born with a great mission, that will possess a couple of traits and special characteristics that other cannot have. That's how they become their leaders. Just showing up intelligent, sociable, empathy, right? And all kind of other stuff. There are five categories that basically that people believe. Scientifically, collective, like large model of 3 to 8,000 different leaders in the field. But the problem is attacking too much on the nature itself. You was born with that trait, but you luckily was developed with that trait. So that's how you become a leader. But it seems like people not agree with that, especially the people who spending so much time of learning and training to possess. That's something we're talking about today, skill, right? And they believe that, well, I'm gonna start with employee. We start with interns at company, and then moving up to the uh, office manager, and then the regional manager, and then executive level, and then we go at but how I cannot become the leaders when we just possessing the thing that only some people naturally born with that can have. So that a fight between the nature and nurture. If trait theory is a nature, skill theory and other stuff going on with that is gonna be the nurture, which we can learn. That's the basic idea of this. So today we're going to go into some kind of brief theory, which is scientifically not the thing that we assume we learn in society with a skill in general speaking, but it's more scientifically based on the leadership style. Skill approach to leadership, with Nordhaus, the newest version of that book, Leadership Theory and Practice, is so what Nordhaus believes that this is the beginning of the leader-centered perspective that emphasizes the competence. We can connect it with the competence theory now today, which is a little bit contrast with the equal or justice theory. That we have equal men, equal woman, and equal different gender in the same system. But long times ago, this civilization was born by the top performers and high competencies, right? High competence individual who can do the best on the top of pyramid. And yeah, there's a whole different uh, controversy idea of that. So we're not going deep with this time. But skill, and we're still now using skill as the part of evaluation about are people doing good or not. So that basically it is. So this theory, in this course today, we're talking two basic module. We're still properly using now today. Some of that, you might not know it, but in general, it's skill. That it counts three administrative skill module in 1955, which is based on a lot for this program. And second, the more comprehensive one, but much more complicated one from Mumford and other group of scientists in 2000, and still keep going on, based on military database. It's called Comprehensive Skill-Based Module. And because it's called comprehensive, it's quite complicated, but let's see how it's going. Okay, so we start with the original of all this thing first. The basic leadership skill module of Kant's 1955 is a little bit of idea about who is Robert L. Kant. He is American social and organizational psychologist, and he is the one who created the concept of managerial skills. Okay, this is like decades ago, and based on his theory, which is this module right here, it's quite simple, but it's still popular now today. That we break it down. It's just in this management system. But this thing you got to be a manager first. You have three set of skill: technical skill, which is the ability to work with things. Like you work with machine, you work with computers, you work with mails, you work with vehicle. Is the things. Second, the human skill is the ability to work with people, right? People to people. You have a group of 5 to 10 in team. Everybody have different skill set, different technical skill set. When it's called a skill set, um, marketing, sale, accounting, um, IT, right? All other stuff. Even in marketing, gonna break it down: digital marketing and traditional marketing. The only group of 7, 10 people. So they have different skill set, right? Digital marketing work with social media, for example, Google Ad, for example. But regular physical marketing or strategic marketing is working on with the campaign, working on with a break it out a project, right? Accounting is on a number and on the budget plannings and so on. So they all have a different technical skill. How you come up with all of them to talking with each other, sharing the idea, giving tasks with each other. We use a human skill, right? Work with people. Some people have pretty good technical skill, but a little bit attitude and personality, a little bit contrast with other. But the whole idea of personality is so complicated. But how the manager do with that? You need to have a human skill. It's there no technical skill is working on human, right? And the last one, a conceptual skill, which is the ability to work with idea. Yeah, you see, that is something you don't see around. Work with idea, work with strategy, work with vision, work with big picture, work with the conflict and concern, right? Work with internal and external issue, work with the address the conflict, all that thing you call concept, right? And this work with ideas and concept is something really, really close with philosophy idea. Yeah, when was the last time you hear about where the origin of the word ideas, right? The idealism, right? Which is not materialism. If you are materialism, it's hard to work with concept, work with idea, with the abstract thing. Because you don't think about future. You don't think about the past. You don't think about others. You just think about the thing happened to you right now. You cannot think about something further than your sense, right? And depend on Kant, and of course we see a lot of ideas coming on. This does not work. It does work that way. You cannot go up. And you see in here, the top management, they use more human and conceptual skill than other, right? And the supervisory just used more technical and human because they supervise the other people with just technical skill and make sure they're doing work. And this is some emphasized idea of basic leadership skill, yeah, which is we can see so far. And of course, the idea of this he got talking about is this skill is manifesting in the idea and what we do it. And we try to articulate it as a right situation and condition and position. But of course, that is a part of the weakness of this module. It's not have some idea about a concept. Even we have conceptual skill, but how to train it, how to get it work, right? How to move from the non-conceptual skill into conceptual skill. Yeah, this is theory. It's module, not let we know it, but it's just the first module from 1955, right after the trade theory fall out. This is something we should think of. And the most revised module of this is a study from Peterson and Fleet in 2004. The title is The Ongoing Legacy of R.L. Kant, an update typology and management skills. So basically, we give more skill expand on this. At least you're starting with really basic definition of this skill, which is skill need to have 3 categories, right? We have some dictionary definition of skill, which is ability to apply knowledge into practical cases. That basically is a general definition of skill in dictionary. But in psychology and in the science, social science, we have got to make it clear that what a definition of skill. And Peterson and Fleet make definition of skill is based on 3 domains. The first one is the existence of a domain of specific knowledge base. What that means? You got to have knowledge first to apply the skill. Then no way you can apply it doing something work without some specific knowledge about that before. You can learn from school, you can learn from your life, you can learn it from your parent, I don't know, but that is knowledge. You got to have the knowledge first and you do it practically, right? The second part is the method of assessing this knowledge base. But you got to access that knowledge, right? You got to in your memory. You don't have memory, pretty good memory. Have your notebook, have your computers, right? You can ask someone to help you mentoring. I don't know, but you need to apply this knowledge into action. That is the third one: is the ability to enact a set of behavior or cognition using a retrieved knowledge to perform a given task. So that is the basic idea of the skill. You need knowledge, you need to transfer, and you need a task, and you need a behavior or cognition. So that's why the idea of skill is so complicated. When it goes to the idea of how we build up our skill, we go with knowledge. But you can possess all the knowledge of the world, but you cannot transfer it to action, into behavior. It means nothing. It's just information, right? It's not coming to an outcome, right? It's not coming to a result. So this is the difference between the skill and knowledge, right? Got to transfer into a task. Got to get it work to really meaning the skill. And we see up here the set behavior and the psych action. That is something related to behavior science, psychology of behavior. And with this new idea in 2004 study, they have some updating about their module of CANS, this empirical testing from MENS 10 years after that module, 20 years more in 2004. Basically, they testing in a bigger population what is CAN testing on, and see that it's still good. It's still pretty good. Not as something we need to criticize or critique or remove it on the line of literature of science. So basically, that's the basic idea of science. We try to apply it, and if it not work, we say it not work. If it's wrong, we say it wrong, right? I've heard the HBR Harvard Business Report doing some sort of the idea to republish his article in the HBR Classic in 1974 and 1986, the popular republished 3 times because it's still good at that time. And of course, the idea can still impact to multiple books with is on the book titles and the author we have in so far as 2004. Of course, the leadership theory and practice from Nordhaus in Republic, republishing like 9 to 10 version, and skill approach of CAM is still there, improving the idea of this, that is the milestone of the leadership study. Okay, so it is something we need to know. It is something practical that we might hear somewhere about a skill, a leadership skill, and we don't know where it come. Which come first, which not, which is get along to what. This is some idea. Skill, when we talk about technical skill, ability to use method, procedure, process, tools to perform specific tasks. They're a little bit more comprehensive than just the domain that the CANs used to making. That is just ability to work with things, right? But this thing use stuff to do tasks, right? And they adding to technical skill. They have 2 really extending skill is analytic. Analytic ability to identify key variables, see how they are interrelated, and decide which ones should receive most attention. That's it, and that definition analytical skill. And decision-making skill is ability to choose effective solution from among alternatives. So we have 5 options. Pick one. That's decision-making, right? So decision-making is pretty close with the technical and human skill. That's why I got it right side. And analytical is close to the conceptualized skill, the right on this side. Okay, let's see. We have human skill here, ability to work cooperatively with others, communicate effectively, to motivate and train others, to resolve conflict, to be a team player. Yeah, basically, that a lot of domain in leadership. And you see that every word of action working up here. Cooperative, right? Communicate, motivate, train, conflict solving, and team playing. It's all different type skill already. Now we can break it out into every detail of this skill in a different way. But with this module, they for their own human skill. In that, they have 2 skills, the most important, that we already talked about it. Communication, ability to send and receive information, thought and feeling, to create a common understanding meaning. right? On this side. And the second one, interpersonal, the ability to develop and maintain the trust and open relationship with superiors, subordinate, and peer to facilitate free exchange information and provide a productive work setting. This is one. This is something we emphasize a lot in our part of the communication interpersonally and intrapersonally. Because that basically the idea of human society, right? In any kind of group, in psychological and sociological approach. Person, you're talking with yourself, intrapersonal communication. And you talk with other person that are interpersonal, right? And in organization, they break it down into the superior, your boss, your peer, and subordinate, someone under your control or your management. Make sure they well understand and have good relationship. Relationship is the bridge, and communication is the way we transfer it. Make sure it's clear. And then we go with conceptual. Conceptual skill is the ability to see the organization as a whole and to solve the problem from systematic point of view. So this way, the conceptual is quite narrow into the organizational standpoint, but yeah, I think it's easier to understand than the idea, this ability to work with ideas, which is because if you understand it in a philosophical idea standpoint, organization is just ideas, right? We just collaborate with each other with a specific regulation and value and task. It's an idea. It's a more complicated idea, well-structured idea than the team, basically. Organization have multiple teams, but we all start with one team. It's just like society. We start with one group, and then other 7 different domain of group is in the sociological agent. And then all that group interact with each other, internal and external, to become society, basically this. Government, basically the same thing. It's just different group of people doing different tasks. And we come up with agreement ideologically or conceptually to working on something bigger, right? Nationalism, right? Something like that. We talk about here diagnostic, ability to determine the probable cause of problem, examining a symptom or observed by the manager, flexible ability to deal with ambiguous and complex situation, and rapidly changing demands, right? And the last one, the center, is the administrative ability to follow the policy, the procedure, process paperwork, an orderly manner and manage expenditures within a limited set of budget. So this administrative is pretty close in a management technical module, which is procedure, paperwork, order, and limit the budget, that administrative skill. But the conceptual line is something we work differently, right? So this thing is the hardening part, functioning, the whole big idea. But on the conceptual line, flexible diagnostic is a way that human inside that in the functioning, right? Interpersonal communication is something human doing, well, especially in human society, right? And if you see that in your functioning is more autopilot system on your IT, and you'll see that they're more administrative than the human, a little bit more technical than other conceptual or flexible diagnostic, because yeah, basically there's not much change to be flexible. Everything under control by administrative and technical and analytical and decision making. But basically, if we try to break it down in a narrow and modern language of the skill, that modern so far, if we talk to someone who have the leadership skill, in my standpoint, yeah, they might be need to possess all of this 10 skill, at least to really qualify to be leaders with leadership skill, leadership skill. Okay, so you go to the second module, which is much more complicated, but it do cover other set of skill and ability. We don't talk it yet in the old module. That's why I call comprehensive skill-based module. It from Mumford, the Carroll, Hadding, Jacobs, and Fleischman 2000. Basically, they use the funding of U.S. Army Department of Defense. A sample module of 1,800 Army officers. It represents 6 grade of levels. It could work so out closely with them and collect all the ideas, terms, and try to interpret it into this module. The module is three major things in here. First, individual attribute, how the leader can do as an individual skill. There's some sort of that they use skill, but some sort of that they use ability because it's not really applied yet. Competencies, right? Have three set: problem solving, social judgment, and knowledge. Knowledge, but it is not skill, but it is something base to create a skill. And of course, the last thing is outcome, effective problem solving. Yeah, I don't care what theory you go, but you got to solve a problem. And then the performance, that is something you need to go through. That you got to have good performance. You finish task right in time, like something like that. This two part of this, a career experience. Yeah, there's something. When we talk about a career, we normally mention about two part, and we're talking about the environmental influences, which is something external, outside of the leaders and followers, can impact you, right? Environment. There's impact in both. It's all of this domain in here: individual competence and leadership. So we will not go really in detail of this all the thing. I just go through some basically idea so you can realize that there possess many terms and ideas you already go through somewhere in popularity knowledge, but in leadership study, we try to put it on a frame that it connect to each other and come to the outcome. First, when talking about individual, we talk about cognitive ability, basically intelligence, IQ. Yeah, nothing else to go through that. EQ might be not a thing when it is module. So general cognitive ability is linked to biology or experience. What that means, you hire people with general cognitive ability, people who are smart, basically. Yes. Smarter you are, the higher cognitive ability you are. That's it. Fair idea. It's nothing related to social, philosophical, or whatever it is. It's just basically poor biological. You're born with knowledge. But how about people well experienced, people with some special cases in their life, create for them a better ability to apply the knowledge into the skill in a good time frame. So the group of scientists, they put it to crystallize cognitive ability, which is intellectual ability that is learned, acquired over time. It's a store of knowledge we acquire through our experience. So we can learn over time. So that is basically something you represent in experienced people. And of course, if you have no experience, the only thing you base is a general cognitive ability. That's it. Because you don't have experience. You will not have any of this, right? And then we go motivation. There's an idea in here occurs in 2015 in idea. Three category in motivation: self-interest, career consideration, and higher purpose. So this is an old definition of that fit with this module. Of course, it's not fit with the current motivation theory, which is the comparison of conflict between multiple different theories so far. Hierarchy of need from Abraham Maslow is a part of motivation theory, right? Self-determination theory is also a motivation theory, which is based on automation, self-interest, and of course, the career higher purpose. So this idea of currency is pretty close with that. Self-interest, what generate to you, right? As a self, individual self, separate self from other. And they have something really specific domain in leadership and management with a career consideration, right? When you talk about motivation theory in general, in psychological and sociologically, we don't talk about career. So career is something specific domain of the work in organization, in development, professional development. That's why this motivation theory of currents is more fit with this module than other module. Career consideration, basically, this is the way you articulate your vision of development, which is fit up with your determined career, right? So you're working on one place and you define, well, this is my career. Marketing is my career. So in working so hard in marketing position to develop your career, you might internship on this marketing and internship at other part of marketing. You're gonna work in marketing company, even you don't like them because you want to pick up thing out of your career consideration. And the last thing is a higher purposes. What the higher purposes? Purpose Normally, when we talk about purpose in motivation, it's just what you propose in the course of your lifetime. Normally, it's in the year, right? Quarterly, the year, annually. It's just collective of goals into that stuff. What you propose at the end of this year, right? You can achieving some kind of statistical goal, so you want something like personal goal, or something like a little bit more higher social goal. But higher proposed, when you call the word higher, it means something more than that, something more than yourself, right? Because the higher, what is the higher? Why you need anything higher? Normally, we just talk about propose. Propose of life might be the highest one, right? But we want talking something in these three domain. Higher in here is just higher than yourself today, higher than your self-interest right now, and higher than your career. So what is higher than you and your career right now? It could be you in the future. It could be the you in the end of your life. It could be your family, right? If someone put your family higher than yourself, it could be the society, arthritis people, right? And it could be the science, could be the goodness if you have philosophical approach of things, or idealistic, or you can it could be your happiness, right? It's more than interest, it's more than career. This is a higher purpose. Personality, which is something we see in individual attribution. Basically, it's just like personal characteristic, which is related to organizational situation. Yeah, we don't want to talk it too complicated. We had a personality already so complicated. Problem solving skill, which is something I think we should go detail. We had to have multiple definition of problem solving skill. And I think the problem solving skill of Mumford, Todd, Hitch, and Markitas in 2017 is pretty interesting. They have 9 sub skill inside the problem solving skill, and it's the problem definition, cost and goal analysis, constraint analysis, planning, forecasting, creative thinking, idea evaluation, wisdom, sense making, and visioning. Yeah, quite sound complicated, but yeah, luckily we have a module of that. And it's got really we call logical module of problem solving. First, you need a depth problem definition. You have to see the problem. What's the problem? That's the first question you should ask. And then 2 sub skill that they give cost analysis. What caused the problem? Goal analysis, which is what this problem would lead us to, right? This problem, the pipeline breakdown. What caused that? Something cracked in the pipe, right? Or temperature change so quick. What the goal of this problem? But the goal of this thing is just leak out all the water, the pressure release, but the water keep coming apart, and you gotta release the crack. Get that law of physics. That's the goal. It's not the goal of problem solving, right? The goal of problem solving obviously is to solve the problem, but it's the goal of the problem or the problem outcome. We're gonna call it the same thing. Because sometimes you cannot find the cause. You just gotta see the goal. That's why I have a slash right here. Okay. Like for example, the war popping up. Normally, when a war popping up, we know that the cause is a conflict, right? We cannot go so deep. What's the real cause of that? We cannot go up there because just right. The reality is we have their ambiguous system of information. We cannot get the clear information, transparency, 100% of both sides. How we know it? We don't know. So only thing got to go with the cost. We stuck out there. What you got to go? Go to the goal. What the goal of this conflict? The goal of this war? They try to eliminate each other, or they will try to be fresh at the third party. Let's think about it, right? Twist it a little bit. That way the problem solving idea. On we go with something else, constraint analysis. So constraint is something happen in the human being. Some the constraint is more we can call it as ideological obstacle. So the real obstacle is I cannot do the work because I'm not that smart. It's a real obstacle. But constraint might be I fear of doing that. I'm sort of lazy. I feel I don't like to do it in 9 p.m. Tuesday. Right. So constraint is more like something idealistically, something in psychology, something in your mind. then the realistic obstacle, like your ability, like your knowledge, like your technical problem, like tools, the procedure, which is we can solve by practical tools like your lack of knowledge. I train you, right? If you're not really smart enough, I hire other people with this enough IQ level. But it's not about the IQ and technology thing. It's something about psychologically, human right, injustice, fairness, whatever it is, whatever ideologically obstacle of the thing is a constraint. So after we define why, what, why, how, what, why, right? How, we go to planning. Here now we got to solve the problem, but we need a plan. That's it, basically, step by step, multiple steps. We need forecasting. Why we need forecasting? Because we got to see that plan in the future before we apply it, work or not. Without forecasting, we're going nowhere. Without forecasting, we have 4 steps. Do it and redo it because we don't have forecasting, right? Even forecasting could be wrong. Yeah, nobody's sure it's right. If it's sure it's right, not called forecasting. It can be determine the outcome than forecasting. But we need some idea of future, okay? And creative thinking. What does that mean? It's mean you got a creative something new because we just pay back with whatever Einstein say, right? Cannot solve the old problem by the old way of thinking. You gotta have new way of thinking, right? Or you cannot solve the problem by the way of thinking that created it. Well, you gotta create something new to solve that problem. That's why it's still there. The creative, a new idea, new thing. That's why I have idea evaluation. New idea coming in, but we need to evaluate it. New knowledge coming in. We need wisdom. What's the idea of wisdom here? The wisdom in here, the way that group of scientists define is the ability to apply the knowledge and idea appropriately with a situation. So either a smart way or clever way to apply the knowledge. That's why it's bigger thing than intelligence itself. Intelligence itself can create good outcome, but the wisdom is know what is a good time to do it. That's another wisdom. And the last thing is sense making, envisioning. What it means that you make all of these ideas and wisdom and stuff to become understandable to other, right? Visioning, right? Make sure people understand it and make sure it come into their sense. Because if it not make sense to other, you come with too much. You have creative idea, you have a comprehensive, you have complicated plan, you have the wisdom thought up here. If it's not making sense with people who not that have that type of wisdom and creativity and planning or forecasting ability, they will not do it, right? We're just talking about a problem solving in leadership and management idea, which is we do it with a group work, more than 2 people, just so you gotta make sense with other and visioning, give the idea for them, give all of this analytical step by step for people to let them know that we try to do it. That basically all the 9 sub skill of problem solving. I think it's interesting. I don't know where we break it down, the problem solving skill into this 9 sub skill, but it's quite like maybe the first time I saw something like this, and all this set of skill is something we should go deeper into a personal or individual skill development in the future. Yes, when you go to skill, there are thousands of skills there. But how we line up in the group of skill, it'll be a good start. Okay. And we have something that we in a module with something last domain that we're talking, which I think is important and why make this module a month 4 and the group become comprehensive. Because we talk about social adjustment and social skill. So the definition of that module is the capacity to understand people and social system, which is so big, right? Understand people basically psychologically, philosophically, and sociologically. So how do you define the people? Right? And social system, of course, sociology, and all other stuff related to that. Move forward in the same idea to define that social adjustment and social skill into a couple other skill. Perspective taking, what that means. This means you're taking other people worldview and accept that could be different, could be the same, could be overlap with your worldview. Where we all have different worldview, right? That's why in the few earlier CEP we're talking about a worldview, because that is the most important. Define the perspective of human being. Worldview is a philosophical term of the perspective. Perspective is smaller. Okay. We have second one is social perceptiveness. What that means? Perceptiveness is just percept. Percept is the way you see other, right? The perspective, the way we see the things. What by our worldview. Percept is the way multiple individual seeing one thing. And social perceptiveness, it means how the society collectively see that thing. And society in here we have different boundary, like American society, African American society, right? Well educated or high educated society, economic, financial society. Let's break down smaller sub society, and we don't talk about the whole global perceptiveness. That is something else. Vietnamese is something different, and American is something different. Conservative, liberal was different, but we have to define how the boundary of that field. Perspective is boundary is a individual. We individually have different perspective. We just don't know it, or just too passively. We lack of independent way of thinking, so we swing into other people perspectively. Other people worldview, but we think that it's the same with us, but better. So we follow them. Then we just think about our own. So that is perspective. But perceptive is something that a group of people seeing one thing. It's like politics is something we're normally going to see. Religion is something you're normally going to see. Economic theories is something you're normally going to see. That how the group of people is no matter about their education level or socioeconomic status or gender or ages gap, you're seeing things in the same way. And how we put it on the same group based on a perception. Okay, the third one, the behavioral flexibility. Well, this thing is pretty big. The only thing I say is because society is a collective of different individuals, so we need to be flexibility, and we need to have the behavior that adapt the change of society. And last one is social performance, which is different with general performance. We put it on social standpoint, which is well socialized, or at least keep up with honor regulation and norms in society. Or in social group, and if we talk about social group, we have multiple groups. We can see it back in the basic social approach about socialization agency we talked, last year, I think. In family, you perform different. In peer, perform different. In the workplace, perform different. In the social group, perform different. In the religion group, perform different. And that's how we perform, right? And how we judge that a performance good or not, based on social perceptiveness, not based on you. Okay, so one more thing is knowledge. The base of social skill is, remember, knowledge is the base of problem solving skill and social judgment and social skill, right? So knowledge is inextricably related to the application of and implementation of problem solving skill in organization. All right. And I have social skill too, but they just try to narrow the word of knowledge, which is work with the skill, not general speaking knowledge. Influence on skill development. We talk about influence, which is influence of the way they develop onset of cognitive ability, general cognitive ability, crystalline ability, motivation, and other field of that. And of course, a social skill and problem solving skill. That's two things. This career experience and environmental influence. Career, something related to professional development and all kind of problem solving skill, which is articulate. It's alongside in this specific domain. Then you need a specific set of skill with a cognitive ability, general cognitive ability, in a certain amount of experience of the field, which is crystalline cognitive ability. You need a sort of behavior and performance that work with the position, right? With the other stuff, motivation stuff. You need a good set of problem solving skill. And you need a good set of social behavior skill, how to interact with your peer, the superior, and subordinate. That's how you promote your career, basically. That's the difference. Now you can, in this form of idea, we can see the difference between a career and a job, right? The job, finish task and get reward that job. The career, finish a set of tasks in an organization, and you have the experience of development in yourself and in the organization and in the task itself. The more you do, the more cognitive ability, the more problem solving skill, the more social skill you acquire and you achieve, the more career development you are. I see. Career have the development and have a quite clear sense of development, which is they can do forever for the rest of life. That's what I call career. Job, something you do it and get reward, money, reputation, whatever. That is something different. So we can have multiple jobs, but we just have few career or just one career, basically is. Okay, the second part of environmental influences, basically what outside of idea interact to the way you develop yourself and career. We're going to go deep in this today because environmental approach is one of the weaknesses of this skill approach. And the last thing in leadership outcome is effective problem solving and performance. Yeah, and nothing new about that. Effective problem solving, solve a problem in time, like what we agreed to do, and performance, everybody, peer, superior, subordinate, performance, like what they're supposed to be, meet up on the goals and indicators, and everybody happy. That basically is. And they don't really go detail about that either. That's why it's the key ideas of a skill approach of leadership. You want to talk about skill? We have multiple set of skill, technical skill. You can name it, millions, right? Human skill, there are few human skill. Definitely is working on communications and on kind of interpersonal and conceptual. So big that we cannot name it, but work with ideas, work with strategy, work with vision, work with future, work with tradition. Tradition is basically a sort of idea, right? And we talk about this problem solving skill, 9 criteria, at least that a group of scientists believe it, and have how it connected all together. And this new module of Mumford talk about social adjustment, social skill, which is quite new too, and go deeply to improving the intervent, right? The way is widening, connecting between the psychology and sociology and philosophy in leadership study. If you don't understand all that field, you cannot understand how to learn to lead, right? And you cannot develop the theory and module into the way you want to apply it into your own skill set, into your own module, because you understand the terms differently with others. But that pretty much is for the course today. And I hope that we have share on the same page of the idea what skill look like when we'll talk about later. All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next time.